for being here, and thank you for your public service. Greatly appreciate it. I served for almost 6 years in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles, worked very closely with the DEA when I did. In fact, worked on bringing to justice one of the people involved in the kidnap, torture, murder of Enrique Camarena. So I was interested to see the video at the outset of this hearing and thrilled when I learned of Caro Quintero's extradition to the United States. Mr. Allen, I want to ask you a couple questions about your work in L.A. I'm grateful for all the efforts to stop the scourge of fentanyl and the smuggling in this country, which has killed so many Americans. My questions go to the fact that I want to see that focus continue, and I don't want these questions to be perceived as a criticism of you. You're following the instructions you're getting from headquarters. But I am concerned, and for the reason that Senator Padilla alluded to the degree that your resources are diverted to immigration operations against nonviolent immigrants, against farm workers or garment workers or restaurant workers, I am worried about diverting the focus away from interdicting fentanyl and going after these cartels. So let me ask you, how many field agents do you have in LA?
So approximately 200.
And of the 200 field agents in LA, how many of them have, in the last 150 days, worked on immigration enforcement?
That's a tough question to answer, sir, just because it's such an ebb and flow. It's not like we have people permanently assigned to just work immigration enforcement. Because, as I said before, we're really primarily focused on continuing our work in drug enforcement, and the crossovers that you know fall into place with illegal immigration. I mean, that's where we
give us your best ballpark. Have a third of them been assigned at least temporarily, or half of them, or more? Is everyone participating to some degree?
I would say at any one time, that's a decent estimate. But as again,
sorry, which estimate? About 30%?
At any one time, not necessarily at one time, but at any given time. There could be 5%, there could be 2%, there could be 30%. It just depends on what's going on that day and what type of support we can offer.
But give us some sense. I want to know what kind of call on your resources this is.
Well, I can actually give you a couple of good examples of things we've done recently.
I'm really not looking for examples. I'm looking for how much your workforce is being diverted to immigration enforcement and away from things that they were doing previously.
Well, specifically immigration enforcement only, that's not what we're focused on. It's just not, sir.
Okay, so how many of the 200 agents have worked on immigration enforcement?
At any given time, anybody could have.
No, just overall. Have all 200 been called away at some point to work on immigration enforcement?
No, sir.
Okay. So how many have?
I really would have a hard time giving you an answer on that, sir.
You're running the office.
I am, yes.
And you're having to make decisions about allocating resources.
Yes, sir.
And you've got investigations to pursue that were ongoing at the time of the administration. And you're having to take agents off of one thing to put them on another. I know how strapped the resources were even before this administration. Yeah. So you may not want to be precise here, but we need some sense of what kind of resources are being diverted here. So what percentage of your agents would you say, what's your best estimate, what percentage have been called to do immigration enforcement? What percentage of the 200 have at some point in the last 150 days been called away to work on an immigration enforcement action?
Sir, the reason I'm having a hard time answering the question is because we work immigration enforcement as it relates to narcotics enforcement. So the two are intimately combined, and that's what our agents are doing.
Okay. Well, for instance, you know what I'm asking you. With all due respect, you know what I'm asking you. So, what percentage of your agents have been called away to work on immigration raids? That is a departure from what you were doing before 150 days ago.
Sir, my people do not do strictly immigration raids.
What percentage of your agents have worked on immigration enforcement in the last 150 days? Can you give me an estimate?
Again, it's not just immigration enforcement, sir. So
okay. You clearly don't want to answer the question, Mr. Allen, and this is part of the problem, and that is we are devoting, by some estimates in the FBI, 45% of our agents in major cities, it's a public report, to immigration enforcement actions. that are 90% of which going after nonviolent offenders. You're taking them away from somewhere. You're taking them away from somewhere. And you clearly don't want to tell us how much you're taking them away or how much work they're doing on this and what other enforcement actions, what other interdiction they might be pulled away from. But we need answers. Mr. Perez, are the estimates accurate that 45% of agents in major cities are being called on to work on immigration now? Is that accurate?
No, sir, I would say that's not entirely accurate. I think that maybe comes from some data that looked at
So what is the accurate percentage?
So nationally, sir, I don't have an exact percentage. I would say it's probably, it ebbs and flows. It could be between 5 to 10%. But again, that's been a temporary surge. We're realigning, we're surging now towards potential terrorism threats.
And the 5 to 10% that are being called away to work on immigration, what were they working on previously?
It varies, sir, by office. It depends. But we have a history in the FBI, sir, of surging resources towards terrorism or cyber attacks or cartels. So those are decisions made by our field offices to potentially pull someone off of an assignment. But I would say that's common, sir. In the 100-plus years in the FBI, we surge resources, we realign resources for potential threats.
Well, I don't think there's anything common about the scope of what you're being called upon to do with these immigration enforcement actions. But I know my time has expired, and I yield the mic to Senator Britt.
Thank you very much. On the note that we were just talking about, the stuff that I have read is that actually the seizures of drugs have